Hey everyone, thank you for joining us this Friday. Beautiful evening here, May 5th, 2023. I'm here with Mr. Bjoern himself. Bjoern, what you got in your hand there, buddy?
I know it's Friday evening, right? Friday
Yeah.
evening, let's celebrate. Woohoo! I got some
Ooh,
sparkling
oh,
wine here.
uh-oh. Is that the infamous sparkling wine we have on bevlive.com?
That is the Ayamar. That would be correct.
Ooh,
Super excited about this one. For those of you who like sparkling wine, this is absolutely amazing. If you like grower champagnes, the really really good sparkling wines, you're gonna love this at half the price. It's phenomenal sparkling wine from the Penedès area in Spain. And for those of you who do not know, like most people would not know where Penedès is, and think Spain has to be Cava, but it's not. There are other areas. This one actually is within the area where people make Cava. But the history is that there were some really, really high-end producers in this specific area of Spain, and they knew they were better than most producers in the Cava area, and for them it was hard to market their wines and market them for the right price point because they were much more expensive than normal Cava would be. So it's kind of like here, if you were selling an inexpensive Cava at, like, let's say $12. And theirs is like 20, you look expensive. But if you compare your $20 compared to a $40, $50 champagne, that is a whole different story, right? So they applied for and received the appellation of Penedès because their sparkling wines were just that special. And it's one of the few producers in that area. Super excited to have them on Bev Live. Super proud that we have it there, and it's just an amazing sparkling wine.
wow, and that sounds like that's quite the honor over there in Spain to have that kind of recognition. That's amazing.
And it's the cool thing. The cool thing too is, like, one thing is we can do a little bit of education, if you like, on sparkling wine. One thing that you see over here is, I'm not sure if you can see this this way. Brut Natur. So what you will see a lot in the market is Brut. Basically, that means the sparkling wine, is dry, right? Brut Natur is basically no sugar, not whatsoever. So if you're one of those people and you watch your sugar intake and things like that, don't let me tell you something wrong, but I'm not sure if it's zero, but it's pretty close to no sugar in there.
Would that be for the people, they always say they don't really drink champagne or sparkling wine except for like New Year's. They pop the bottle, they haven't, and always they'll say, oh, I get such a headache after I drink it. You think the lower sugar content might help that kind of feeling people get from that?
That's a good question. I think everybody's just a little bit different, and I think sugar could play into that for some people. But for some people, maybe they just drank too much.
Could be. Yeah, it's hard to tell. I'm guilty of the sugar. I don't really eat or drink a lot of sugar, no soft drinks. But the time that I do, I have a mixed drink that, a margarita, that's something that, or sparkling wine. I tend to get a sugar headache, as I call it, because I drink one of those sort of beverages. That's about all I can take. But
well,
I think you're right.
Sulfites is another one within wine where people think, well, the wine has sulfites and therefore I get a headache. But I think a lot of these things have never really been proven. Like, everybody has their own little story, their own little belief. I think long story short, everybody's just a little bit different. But yeah, coming back to the sugar levels in sparkling wine, so it's actually really easy for you to tell how much sugar there is in the sparkling wine because it will tell you. There's Brut Natur, there's Brut, then extra dry, and so on. And the funny part is, extra dry is actually fairly sweet. It's called extra dry. But yeah, Google, have a look on the internet. It will tell you the classifications of sparkling wine and how much sugar is in there, and then you can make your own decision. Most that you will find in the market are probably Brut, especially the good ones, or in this case, Brut Natur. Then extra dry, often since there is a fair amount in there, usually the less expensive one. So if you find that fantastic champagne or something or something like this, chances are they're not going to be extra dry.
Got it. Well, I will be on I'll go on bevlife.com and get a bottle here. And I'll be on the lookout for that style too, because that's something I see Brut. I think that's commonplace in the stores and everything, but Brut and Notori, no, I can't say that at least it hasn't jumped out at me. Not that I'm looking.
You're actually, your perception is completely correct. It's actually quite hard to find. That's why I'm so super excited to have it on Bev Life, because it's something that you just cannot find anywhere else pretty much.
Awesome. Yeah. And speaking of, everyone has their own little belief. I was actually reading an interesting article, Bjoern, was about health sort of benefits from from drinking alcoholic beverages. So they went through, it's a scientific study that was done, and they had can't remember the sample size, but they had people drink certain types of beverages and then report qualities that they experienced after drinking such beverages. And one of the most interesting ones, and they went through spirits, beer, and wine, white and red. And when they got to the red wine, they said that 53% of the people that they paneled drinking that wine felt relaxed. And that was the most relaxing out of all the beverages. I've had a long week, as I'm sure you have. Is there any truth to that? Or is that another, kind of wives' tale, or it depends on the person, where if I drink white wines, I feel a little more energetic, but if it's red, I'm hanging out on the couch, falling asleep. What do you think?
Good question. I think I come back to the discussions of people, when they had a big meal for Thanksgiving and they had some wine and they had some turkey, and we all know there's certain things in turkey that make you tired. And I think it's just, I don't know if it's chemistry or biology, but there's certain things in alcohol or wine specifically here that do have an impact on you. But again, everybody reacts a little bit differently. But I think between you and me, there's got to be something to the saying. There's some kind of meaning in sayings. There's some truth in meanings always, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And for them to be, for so many people to say, I'm going to go home and have my glass of wine and relax, something a lot of people say. So there's got to be at least some truth to that.
Yeah, I think so. Especially, it's not so obvious, I don't think, in the U.S., but you go, to Italy or in Europe somewhere, and that's just commonplace to have that table wine. They call it table wine, right? To have at the dinner table for everyone to have every night, and that's just the way it is. And
culture, right?
Yeah, it's part of the culture. I've enjoyed it myself when I'm over that part of the world, and I kind of, guilty of it sometimes. but there is some truth.
Nothing to be guilty about.
And there's,
I'm sorry?
I think it's like the old saying. I don't know exactly where it rooted, but you hear it in so many different iterations. But moderation is key, or do anything in moderation. I think ancient Greeks probably said that a lot. I know for sure, but I don't know if it goes back any further. But guess what? The ancient Greeks drank a lot of wine too.
So the question is how you define moderation, right?
Right. And we could get into all the nitty gritty about how the strength of wines and stuff has changed over the centuries. But
that's actually a good point. Wine used to be much lower in alcohol than what it is today. I think a lot of it has to do probably also with farming techniques. One could argue it has to do with global warming. One interesting thing you can look at actually is German Pinot Noir.
Okay.
Like if you go back like some 40, 50 years, most of the examples that you would have from Germany were underripe, lower alcohol Pinot Noirs, let's say like 11% or something. 11 and a half, maybe 12. Now you fast forward those 40, 50 years, and we see Pinot Noirs from Germany. There was one year where they had to rein in the alcohol, and they got way too high, 15.5 plus. So
15.5 plus. Wow, that's a heavy.
Yeah. Those are big wines and lots of alcohol, and they had to make sure it doesn't go too high because it just didn't balance anymore.
Sure.
But to your point, alcohol levels in wine have changed tremendously just over the last 30, 40 years, and the same can be said for many wine regions. like from all over the world, and not just Germany. Things are getting warmer. I'm not saying whose fault it is. I'm not going to get into that whole discussion.
Sure, yeah.
But it's definitely, I mean, there's one fact, for one reason or another, it's getting warmer. I think grapes are getting riper. There's more sugar in the grapes. The yeast eats the sugar, turns into alcohol, and more alcohol.
Now, I was going to ask what is it about global warming and climate change that would contribute to that, but I think you just answered it. Was if it's staying warmer, there's a longer growing season, a longer ripening, more sugar in the content turning to alcohol. That makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Never thought of that. Yeah, that's interesting. But so I wonder, back to that Pinot Noir, when in Germany, when people noticed the alcohol spike there, was it more popular, you think, or did it influence people's taste and perceptions?
I don't think I have the trade or the sales numbers in front of me, but
Yeah, right.
That's a really, really good question. What I can say is that German Pinot Noir got better and better and better. The Pinot Noir that you would find in Germany in the 80s is not the Pinot Noir that you would be buying today. It's world class today. So you need to make sure that your grapes do ripen. So yes, you can say the wines are better, not necessarily because the alcohol is higher. It's just as in general the fruit is just riper. So you do not have those like green tones in the wine that you may have if you harvest when the grapes are not where they need to be. And they measure the sugar levels. They know, like, the winemaker goes out.
Yeah.
And they know daily pretty much like when to harvest and when not to harvest. So they measure those sugar levels and know exactly what they're harvesting.
Wow. And that goes to say, and I know in a few episodes ago, we talked a lot about kind of the farming movements that have occurred. And I'm sure a lot of that is from a result of climate change as well, trying to make sure that the soil has the proper nutrients to get the desired result, and regenerative farming and those kind of techniques. And it's amazing how human, beings can adapt to that sort of change that's thrust upon you and keep adapting and moving on.
Yeah, like that's the cool thing about wine in general. I think, it's a natural product. I think sometimes people forget that. And I think that what makes it so exciting, it's different every year. It's different every year. You deal with a lot of farmers, it's who farm a product, and in this case, grapes, and that product changes every year. They're at the mercy of weather. They're impacted by how weather performs. Here's an interesting one. We're talking about sparkling wines. The south of England makes actually fantastic sparkling wines.
Really? That's a little lesser known fact.
Yeah, and that's like, you think about where Champagne is in the Champagne, which is fairly north.
Right.
It makes sense. And as the southern part of England is getting warmer and warmer, obviously, when people think England, they think beer and not necessarily wine. But the sparkling wines made in that area are pretty impressive, and that goes back to everything just getting a little bit warmer.
Hey, the game's changing.
Game's change.
That's it. Well, I think on that note, Bjorn, I'm awfully thirsty after this. And speaking of relaxation, I think you and I both could use that. So let's go tip our bottle back here. And thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking time out of your day. If you're tuning in now, we appreciate it. And go to bevlive.com, click the shop link, and you know what to do next.
All right, everybody. Bye.
Bye.